politics that is united in serving our communities rather than divided by internal battles. The people of Cornwall cannot wait any longer. They deserve better now. For all these reasons and more, the Labour Group has no confidence in Councillor Linda Taylor.
Councillor Dwelly.
Thank you very much, Chair. Can I start by paying tribute to Councillor Taylor for something, and this is heartfelt. You have stood against racism and anti-Semitism extremely strongly, and it's much appreciated. Now turning to other aspects of Councillor Taylor's leadership, she has been effective at managing the Conservative group. And I know this because she has used, in my opinion, the way that committee chairs and vice chairs are allocated to great effect. It's worked. And there are people who will vote for her, no doubt, partly based on those factors. I've found myself strangely being some kind of therapist for Conservative councillors. I get on very well with many of you. Many of you call me quite frequently or stop me and say, Linda this, Linda that. What can we do about Linda? Today, the question is, what will you do about Linda? Now, I want to be honest here. From a non-Conservative point of view, the very best thing you can do if you want the Conservatives to have a disastrous election next May is to vote for her. So wearing my anti-Conservative hat, please back Linda Taylor, because it's guaranteed to give you the worst possible result next May. And let me give you an example of why that might be. Quite aside from the mayor thing, I've said more than enough on that over the years. Look at the airport. Do you all know exactly what's happening here? There's a possibility that our budget might propose the end of the guaranteed London services with the end of the PSO. Possibility that that might come to an end. That looks to me like a sweetener for the company Westcor, who it is proposed, perhaps as soon as next month, will be handed control of our airport and control of the land around it. Please will you look up the name Mark Bruton. Mark Bruton is the owner of the company Westcor, and he controls it. He is an American private equity magnate.
This is nothing to do with the leader.
It is to do
no,
with the
I've just taken guidance from the monitoring officer, and he said this is not to do with Linda.
In my opinion, the leader's decision on the airport to consider handing control to someone like that is extremely important indicator of leadership without this chamber having a debate, even though this chamber did debate the spaceport previously and minuted that any change to it should come back to this chamber. So, for me, if I were you, the Conservatives, if I were you and the Conservative associated people with the funny name you've got now, I would vote for Linda Taylor only,
30 seconds.
Only if I wanted to be associated with the decisions that are going down so badly with the Cornish public. This is your last chance to change tack. Were you to go for a different leader, it's possible that some of these decisions could be avoided, and it's possible you could mitigate what might be quite bad results next May. It's up to you now. No more therapy from me, no more Linda this, Linda that. If you believe in her, vote for her, and we'll all know that you do, and you back her. Thank you very much.
Councillor Alvey.
Good morning, colleagues. I want to highlight the absurdity of calling a motion to remove a leader at such a crucial time in the municipal calendar, on the whim of a Judas who can't tell the difference between strong leadership and simply not getting his way, and his stooge who, instead of promoting Cornwall at the recent LGA conference, acted more like an extra in a spaghetti western, telling other delegates that he was about to take Linda's scalp. A strong leader of a unitary authority doesn't just have the job of leading the council. They are an ambassador for Cornwall on the national stage. The fact that last year Linda made the final 3 of the LGRU Leader of the Year highlights the regard in which she is held nationally. As well as chairing many local boards, she is on the executive of the County Councils Network. She's a director of the Great Southwest Partnership Board, LGA vice chair of the local Infrastructure Net Zero Board, and much more. The removal of Linda as our leader would see the sudden and irreplaceable loss of Cornwall's voice at the top of local government nationally. nobody is a stronger voice for the Duchy on the national stage as Linda. As you know, Cornwall is benchmarked against all other local authorities through common LGA attitude survey questions. It's a fact that nationally the trend is almost entirely downwards. However, Cornwall Council is one of the few outliers trending upwards in resident satisfaction. And that hasn't happened by chance, but through Linda's strong leadership. In closing, I doubt that some of you who have naively put your names to this motion really understand the implications of it succeeding. You'll cross the Rubicon and inflict significant harm on Cornwall's reputation. We'll go into a state of political flux just as the budget is being prepared. Remember, the leader appoints the cabinet and the 10 of us take collective responsibility for the decisions that we make. As those of you who have served on a cabinet before know, cabinet members have complex portfolios, responsibilities and networks to maintain. You may not always agree with some of the difficult choices we make, but from the names on this motion, there is clearly no one remotely worthy to compete to replace Linda as the leader of this council. Her leadership is exceptional, and it would be a sheer madness to replace her with she is the best that we have. Thank you.
Councillor Frost.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not going to go on and on about the leader because I think everyone else probably will. But there are two things that I think this chamber should reflect that have happened under the leadership of Linda Taylor that is not good for the membership of this chamber. And the first one is when Councillor Williams-Pears and Councillor Donoghue swapped cabinet roles. The media announced that responsibilities had changed with that. And the question was asked, is that true? To which we were told, check the website, it's as it is. And the website said there was no change. Only to find out a few days later that it had actually changed. And that is either misdirection or incompetence, either of which is not good leadership for this chamber. The second is I put a motion forward because the government had made a decision to attack personal independence payments. And it went against the good work that this council had actually done. And instead of standing up for Cornwall and standing up for the good work that this council done, we were refused the opportunity to disagree with the government, and the only reason for that is because it was the same colour as the leader. However, I then, after the general election, submitted another motion because the current government had made a bad decision. And they were all for standing up and attacking the government. Why? Because it was a different colour. And the fact is, for the last 3.5 years, the council leadership has done exactly what they have been told by the Westminster Blues. And they haven't done what was meant to be the best for Cornwall. We all know politics has a part to play, but there are realities. Many a time, Devon County Council, which is also Conservative, has stood against the Conservative government when they made bad decisions for Devon. But we have not once stood up for Cornwall because the leadership did not want to upset the Prime Minister at the time, and that is why I have no confidence in the leader.
Councillor Toms.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I come here as an independent, and I am independent in mind, thought and deed. And if people don't believe that, then they don't believe it. I don't particularly care. In 174 days, I won't be here again. And that's a fact. Because why? Because this is all about politics and trying to win the next election. You don't care. People don't care about the people out there. That's who we should be caring about. And if you remember, I said exactly the same about 2 meetings ago when I said, actually, we should work together for the good of the people outside of those windows. Have a look, because I said it. I know, Linda, that I've said to you, I think it was one of the very first meetings, you will be judged on the deprivation scores. And if you look at the deprivation scores, 70% of the people in this county are in the in the most deprived 50% of deprivation scores. That is a true fact. We can check those facts, and those are the things that we can look at. But when I look at what's going on at the moment, how many people in this room came to our HASCOS meeting yesterday about fairer funding for adult social care, and the way that just the increase in NI contributions will take the probably £6 million that we get extra from government from the 600 million that they're proposing to put in adult care just to pay the NI contributions. How many people in here knew that the SEN, if we had to pay it back, we'd be bankrupt? Why did I know? Because I bothered to ask the questions. I've asked Louis about the airport, and he sent me a load of information, and I've spread that around the audit committee so they can build their knowledge. How do I do these things? Because I'll work with anybody. I don't care whether they like me or dislike me, I will work with anybody. And the trouble is, at the moment, we're trying to do something that is going to put all of us in a bad light. Because I saw Julian get vote, you know, the vote that you faced in the last
30
council,
seconds.
and Alex Robinson in the first unitary council. It's a nonsense. Please don't do it. It is whatever the budget will be, and if they fail, like they did when the Lib Dems were in charge and they became a unitary, they will get punished at the ballot box. It's not for us to decide. It is for those people out there to decide, because they're the people that will judge us by what we do.
Time.
And what we're doing now is wrong, I tell you. Thank you.
Councillor Barnes. Councillor Barnes, when you've got yourself together.
I shall be supporting the motion today. We've had a series of bad decisions which have been led by Linda. The mayor for Cornwall, we went up the hill and then back down the hill again. And although Linda went on a tour of Cornwall to speak to the public, she never really came around and spoke to the members about it. And then we've had the stadium for Cornwall, which is now a stadium for Truro Football Club, £11 million. We've had the Pydar Pit, which is now just a collection of rubble, the Langarth Lash-Up and the Newquay Rail upgrade. And all this council's doing is getting deeper and deeper into debt. I keep asking the head of Cornwall Council's cabinet for finance, David Harris, how much deeper are we in debt? The last scrutiny meeting I was on, he said he would circulate how deep we are in debt to members, and he hasn't done that. This is not the first time he's not done that. So, we come back, we got the leader in the cabinet of sycophants, and if the leader goes, I hope the cabinet goes as well. And I would like to finish by asking Linda, because a lot of this has now been pushed to the front because of Newquay Airport, to give an undertaking there'll be no transaction to sell the airport before the 1st of May 2025, unless it comes before a special full council.
That's not relevant to this meeting. It's the motion.
It is, madam. If you can't understand what's going on here, perhaps you should give up the chair. No, it's not a shame, it's the truth.
Can you stop, please? I'm going to bring the monitoring officer in.
The question before the council today is whether to remove the leader or not. The question that you've put, Mr. Barnes, Councillor Barnes, to the leader is not for today, that's for another time.
Councillor Desmond.
Thank you, Chair. Congratulations, Councillor Conway, on making yourself better known. You give no reason for your motion, but of course you've attracted fellow travellers who, being clever politicians, and I mean no offence in suggesting you are not, are able to add all sorts of spurious reasons for supporting your motion. I, however, reject your motion. The leader, with a collegiate style, integrity, honesty and a strategic focus, has a strong management style that empowers her cabinet to excel. This leader, by these talents and her communication skills, inspires trust and admiration. The leader's actions and words foster an environment where creativity and a desire to succeed flourish. In April 2023, a devolution deal with the mayoral authority and £360 million investment fund was proposed. However, it lacked popular support. And this leader was listening. She took the difficult decision to recommend to Cabinet not to pursue the devolution deal and immediately and swiftly went on to deliver in just 7 months a level 2 deal. Outstanding. A remarkable demonstration of this leader deploying superb negotiating skills and determination to deliver Cornwall priority outcomes. A brilliant place to be a child, supporting businesses and enhancing our Cornish culture. And what, by comparison, if I may, of the leadership qualities opposite? A lack of vision, a bit of socialism, a bit of Lib Dem, a bit of this and that. They are uninspiring because leadership isn't something that they do.
Point of order, Madam Chairman. This is against
no challenge at Cabinet meetings. For example, when the issue of the Labour's cruel withdrawal of the winter fuel allowance was discussed and acted on,
sorry,
there was no opposition.
Point of order. What is your point of order?
Madam Chairman, this is against...
Including Tories.
Yeah, fair challenge.
I have the floor, Chair. Do I?
You have the floor, but not to discuss other people. This is about Linda and her leadership.
I thank you, Councillor Conway, for this opportunity to demonstrate what an extraordinarily skilled, hard-working and determined leader Cornwall Council has in Councillor Linda Taylor. Our leader is respected at the highest levels of government and internationally. The G7 event in Cornwall demonstrated that at the highest possible level. This enables her to seek excellent opportunities for Cornwall through her skilled representations on our behalf. But above all, this leader is a communicator, regularly on BBC Cornwall radio, approachable and engaging, and everyone in this chamber has at one point or another
30
enjoyed a conversation with her. And despite the attempt by that order put forward by the leader of the opposition, people know what the contrast is between firm, decisive leadership and those who can't even properly represent their constituents over something as crucial as the winter fuel allowance being withdrawn. I reject this motion.
Councillor Wells.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The very first sentence in Cornwall Council's constitution states that the council operates executive arrangements through a leader and cabinet model. Then in Article 2, the role profile of the leader is set out clearly. One could illustrate how well Councillor Taylor has more than adequately fulfilled this role by giving examples of each of the criteria. However, I will confine myself to just 3 of them. The first point states that the leader is to be the principal political spokesperson for Cornwall. I'm sure nobody can argue that Councillor Taylor has not fought our corner in many arenas, both with national government and promoting Cornwall in the media. The second point states that the leader is to exercise political leadership both within and beyond Cornwall, including building a political consensus around council policies and forming a vision for the council and community. The third point I would highlight states that the leader is to provide strong, clear leadership in the development and coordination of the council's budget, strategy, policies and service delivery. Taking these points together, I well remember Councillor Taylor's first address as leader, where contrary to what Councillor said earlier, she offered to work across the chamber and would welcome constructive ideas from any member. She has always attempted to reach a consensus, but the buck must stop somewhere, and as a strong leader, she has had to take some tough decisions. Inevitably, this has upset some people, but when the Council is operating under such tough statutory and budgetary constraints, the effect of decisions on hard-pressed taxpayers must be borne in mind. Councillor Taylor has a collaborative leadership style and delegated many decisions to her cabinet colleagues. As Councillor Conway mentioned, we are approaching a crucial moment for the Council as we are about to set our budget for 25-26. And the distraction this motion has caused is one of the last things we need at this challenging time. Even more importantly, however, is the unlikely prospect of a coalition of former Tory supporters, Labour supporters and others reaching a consensus on the policies that will be needed to create a balanced budget. For instance, the proposal of this motion claims he is a Tory and the seconder endorsed a Labour Party candidate in the last year's general election. If they are unable to reach a consensus, we shall be putting our new Section 151 officer in the invidious position of having to set the budget in the first few months of her taking up the role. I end on a personal note. Councillor Taylor has been the most supportive throughout my time on this council, particularly during the difficult times I've experienced with my business this year, and I shall always be grateful for that. I would ask every member to consider most carefully the ramifications of supporting the motion before us today. I will certainly be voting against.
Councillor Fitter.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I've not come with any prepared speech. I've come just purely to listen, to observe, and to offer a comment. No one, yes, certainly, I do apologise. No one is above being judged. No one is indispensable. Councillor Taylor has, for the last 3.5 years, been the leader of this council. She was elected by the peers. She was elected each successive year. But she's also entitled to be judged by the people of this chamber. And that is all we're doing, is judging her record as leader of the authority. No one can be immune from that, and to suggest that there is fear and trepidation throughout the nation that we, as a unitary authority, should remove our leader within 6 months of a forthcoming election hardly bears water. But members, what you have to do is you really have to judge the record of the leader and the cabinet. And the cabinet is partly responsible for the decisions taken by the leader. But the leader is the leader. And she, Madam Leader, will have to take the decision, take the responsibilities for those decisions. And I have to say that through bad luck, perhaps, misjudgment, whatever you call it, but we've had a shamble of disasters perpetrating through this administration from virtually year one. The failure of the Perranporth to Newquay Saints Trail pulled, the hole in the ground pulled, and various other fiascos. But you must make a judgment, and if you feel that you are comfortable with those judgments and comfortable with those decisions, then you vote for your leader. But to pretend that we are here and we are not allowed to judge our leader, and she is our leader as well, she is the leader of our council. So I will resent the fact that we are being challenged because we have the legitimacy to, in actual fact, judge our leader. You make the decision. I shall be voting for the motion, but you must make your decisions according to your thoughts and wisdom. If you feel it's all gone swimmingly, then great. You vote for your leader. Thank you.
Councillor LeBroy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to open by saying I do have respect for Councillor Taylor. I sat alongside her and Councillor Harris on the Audit Committee in the previous council, and I saw how diligently both of them attended to the work of the committee and how good they were at delivering those roles. But in that previous council, and Councillor Germ did reflect on this earlier, we had the beginnings of what became Treveth. It was the investment programme. And at the time, we had a cross-party panel, an independent group. It was called, I think, the Independent Advisory Committee to the Investment Programme. And basically, we were overseeing and giving advice and steerage on some of the investments that were being proposed and being brought forward. And I thought that gave a really good, sound, crossbench, collegiate feel to what we were doing. But at the beginning of this council, it was abandoned, cancelled. And that feel of loss of connection across parties and across benches, to me, has just gone. And sitting as a backbencher in this council, I feel it's been very, very difficult to have any influence or any feel in my ability to do anything as a councillor other than to just oppose for opposition's sake. I would much rather be working together, which feels very, very difficult on the opposite benches. Another example of this is again sitting in committees in the previous councils. We had available to us the committee inquiry process. I was lucky enough to chair a couple. Again, they're cross benches, and you had the opportunity as a council to really put some good work in and to come up with some great conclusions and recommendations that eventually would come to the Cabinet for adoption and endorsement. And that has barely happened in this council. I think I've seen one or two happen on the committees that I attend, and they've been shortened and the manpower has been reduced, and it's, again, gives very little opportunity for people sitting on the back benches to get together with the people on the front benches and really thrash out some good work. Again, obviously we're on a journey over the term of our authority and the council, and there are some issues that come into the road and they sort of make me feel stronger about how I feel about things. And the issues that really have stuck in my mind, it's been said before today, the airport and this planned disposal of the airport, and the very simple fact that you're going to have a private investment company that will be dictating and determining who gets
30 seconds.
The parking proposals, absolute madness in my opinion. The homes emergency crisis, there are homes in my patch, council land homes, that have been empty for months. We've had claims from tenants from unsuitably maintained properties in my patch. Those are big ticket items that we really ought to be keeping our focus on, and I think this administration has lost focus on those items. I personally wish we could do better by working together, and I think that we could work better together if the leader was to be more open to working across party and across benches.
Councillor Jordan.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and thank you for all your help in helping me put together something I can speak about. So thank you. Councillor Conway has accused Councillor Taylor of being a dictator. I have known Councillor Conway for longer than anyone in this chamber. He was my deputy mayor in Lanston for 2 years. He was a Labour union man in the tax office before he went to union.
Madam Chairman, point of order. This is against the guidance that you laid out. This is about another member.
Okay. I spoke to Councillor Conway about 3 weeks ago when all this blew up, and I asked him...
Sorry, Councillor Jordan, you need to stop.
Okay.
You need to talk about Linda only.
Okay. Linda is a very strong leader. I agree with Councillor Dwelly for the first time in 4 years. We should vote for Councillor Taylor. She's a good leader, a strong leader. She knew there was going to be issues, and she has tried to be very fair. And she has. Just look at the team around her. Councillor Harris took on this role as the finance officer, and he has done a very good job after the last administration left us in a mess. Councillor Monk, we're talking about...
Can you focus your comments just on Councillor Taylor?
Madam Chairman, Councillor Taylor is probably the best leader that we've had in the 8 years that I've been here. Councillor Painter tried to do a very good job. He failed.
No. Shall we call time on that one?
All right. Madam Chairman. For me, Councillor Taylor is like a Margaret Thatcher, a new Margaret Thatcher. Leading us all through difficult times.
Can we have some order, please?
At least I can make people laugh and joke. Leading us through very difficult times when one or two people want to hurt her. And this council, of course, is going to have, a very detrimental effect on our fantastic residents and our fantastic county of Cornwall. All I can say is that anybody who wants to vote for this motion of Councillor Conway is not voting for Cornwall and its people. It's voting for one or two people that want to cause damage to this council.
Councillor Cruz.
Madam Chairman, I thank you for allowing me to speak in this debate. As a first-time councillor, I would like to express how much Linda has helped me to gain confidence and settle into the quite daunting task of representing my residents. We all enter the arena with our beliefs and soon find that not everyone agrees with us. Linda has always made me feel valued and has listened, advised and encouraged me over the last almost 4 years. We all know how hard Linda works, her very full diary and commitments to both local and national bodies, and yet she has always found time to answer my emails and give me advice. My colleagues here in the council have been predominantly respectful, kind and encouraging, but on the one occasion I felt that I was being talked at, rather too robustly. I had a little word with Linda and she fully understood and had a quiet word with that person. This kind of attention to detail is the more to be admired, bearing in mind the huge workload Linda takes on. I am quite certain that there is no one here in this chamber who could represent Cornwall in a more robust and thorough way, whilst at the same time being inclusive and understanding and having the ability to comprehend how we all tick so differently. Linda is the strong leader we need, and I am only deeply saddened by the intentions of Councillor Conway and all those that support his motion. I urge you to reject this motion for the good of the council and for the good of Cornwall. Thank you.
Councillor Tudor.
Just on a point of order, can I ask the monitoring officer, is it not appropriate to be able to reference other members in this room if we are talking about a vote of no confidence in comparing the confidence we may have had in those members when they were leading the council?
So it's a fair question, but the guidance that has come out has directed members towards talking about why the leader should or should not be displaced, and comments should be directed to the leader's failings or achievements or whatever you might think. And whilst you might want to draw comparisons, we're trying to maintain a level playing field with the same rules applying to everybody.
Sorry, can I come back on that? We're debating no confidence, the issue of no confidence, and surely our view on the confidence of others, we'll take that into consideration. Especially those, you know, speaking now. I can't see how the two are not intrinsically linked. They form part of our decision making. Thank you.
So your confidence in the leader and whether you have confidence in others will be reflected in the way you vote. A set of rules for debate have been sent out for everybody to comply with. Your speeches should focus on the current leader. If we get to a position where we're voting for an alternative leader, then it would be appropriate to talk about other persons. But for the moment, you should focus your comments on the leader, as the guidance says, and has been raised by other members in the chamber when others have been spoken about. And so let's stick by that rule. Demonstrate your confidence in the leader by the way you vote. And if the leader loses the vote and we're looking at other nominees, then you may speak about others.
Thank you.
Councillor Jenkins.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I think it's really sad that we're in this chamber today. I don't think this whole episode reflects well on any of us. We need to be all working together to have a strong position to Westminster as we should have had through the whole council. And now I'm not saying that the administration has been good. It's been inefficient, it's been exclusive, certainly as backbenchers, knowing what's happening in the council by getting press releases about something that's happening is not the way to do it. That's an administrative issue which does reflect on the leader. It's not personal to the leader, but it reflects on the way that this council is being run. However, there are 83 brains, 87 brains, whatever, in the council, and I don't think they've been used to the best of their ability. We have significant challenges in Cornwall, and those significant challenges are not being addressed by us being here today. We have, as Councillor Tom says, huge issues in funding for adult social care, huge issues in funding for children's services and particularly SEND. We have policies relating to the environment that are not being delivered. We are not working on an economy that works for Cornwall. This, however, is party politicking. So it can risk us not being seen as effective as a council. However, I have to say that there are a huge number of issues of where we haven't been effective as a council in the last 4 years. And I think it's incredibly sad that when this administration came in, they said, oh, we'll be able to do lots of things because we're the same colour as Westminster and we can get lots of things done. And issues of fair funding are only now being significantly addressed. And we know, and we have said for many, many years, that Cornwall doesn't have
30 seconds.
The people of Cornwall deserve better from all of us. And I think we need to search our consciences about how we can get a better administration for Cornwall, and that applies to the current administration as much as anyone else.
Councillor Candy.
Thank you, Chair. As you know, as some of you know, I've been involved in local politics for over 20 years. I was recently elected to this council in the by-election, and never have I come across an authority where democracy is not being followed. There is too much that is just delegated to the cabinet or kept within the portfolio holders and not debated in the open. A couple of the last meetings have been pretty pointless, the amount of decisions we were able to make, and that is within the control of the leader and her team. One of the most important issues I find is the car parks and the devolution of those to an up-country company rather than keeping control within this council. And I would like to, and that of course is within the remit of the leader to see whether this council is able to debate those sorts of issues.
Point of order, Madam Chairman.
What is your point of order?
As the Cabinet member responsible, the reason that hasn't been debating this full council is because there's no agreed plan. It has gone to scrutiny, but Councillor Candy is making reference to that in a vote of no confidence. But the reason there's no scrutiny in this chamber so far, in this chamber, is because there's no formal plan. And of course, that has already been considered at scrutiny. So I think that is an out of order point to make.
I accept that, Chair. I withdraw that. As I say, my main concern is about the lack of democracy and under this current leader, and the fact that we are not working as a team for the whole of Cornwall and her leadership has been very divisive. Thank you.
Councillor Tudor.
Bear with me, sorry. I had to change my speech from advice from the monitoring officer. Okay. So I just wanted to say first that whatever happens over the next hour, I feel that it is appropriate to pay tribute to Councillor Taylor for being the first female leader of the council. Something that's never really mentioned in the chamber, but something that is a significant achievement. Linda knows what a woman is, and we've heard today has supported her fellow women councillor colleagues on female issues, no matter what their party politics are. Those that have brought this vote of no confidence cite concerns over the Cabinet's decision to back plans to sell off the Newquay Airport estate. And I don't believe that there are many of us here in this chamber that know the ins and outs of that decision making, and that's part of the problem, isn't it? And like me, you might be feeling that the airport saga is just the last straw in a long line of plans and projects where members have felt kept in the dark, such as the Saints Trail, Wave Hub, Pydar, Spaceport, and of course, the huge development that I have in my division, Langgarth New Town. Let's call it what it is, a new town. The Conservative group inherited a lot of these projects from the previous administration, the leaders of which I remember was just as unsuccessful in keeping a grip on making sure decisions went through a democratic process. But unfortunately, we've been advised that we cannot talk about that, which is a shame, as I was going to point out that those criticising Linda Taylor did a worse job themselves. I know, I was there. So I'm thinking about a similar vote in 2021, and I'm thinking in particular back to May 2018, when again we were in a similar position here, and the then leader of the opposition made his famous infamous...
Can we bring it back to Linda, please?
Yep, shame on you speech. For those, I'm talking about democracy and transparency now in a general sense. For those of you who weren't here, it included a number of things, including shame for the council for spending on big ticket items and allowing officers to run this place. When the Conservative group did get into power, their ability to scrutinise and hold senior officers to account did seem to melt away, as happens in this council under every leadership. We've been here before. I think it was Albert Einstein who said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And I think that's what's happening here. The Newquay Airport saga has helped identify the problem, but I don't feel this vote of no confidence is the solution
30 seconds.
to fix it. If Councillor Taylor is forced to step down, then I implore whoever is voted in to the breach to use this next 6 months wrestling some control back from officers who are going unchecked, playing fast and loose with taxpayers' money.
Can we bring it back to Linda, please?
If the motion is unsuccessful, then I make the same
Time.
plea to Councillor Taylor. Let this be a shot across your bow. You've got 6 months to try and fix the system. Bring transparency back into the council, because it is the system that needs to be overhauled.
Councillor Gardner, I'm going to bring you in now, and I have got down here that I did agree for you to have 4 minutes because your portfolio is part of the problem.
Thank you. Thank you. As this motion, and it's been mentioned by both the proposer and seconder, was around the issue, it was apparently around the issue of the airport. There have been plenty of inaccurate statements this morning surrounding the airport, and I thought I would take the opportunity to clarify some of the facts around the background and the process. When we took over this administration, it's fair to say that the approach to the airport was confusing, split across 4 portfolios, misguided and woefully unsuccessful.
Madam Chairman, procedural rule 14.5G, factual inaccuracy. The Cabinet member Councillor Brown had scope of the whole of the airport, the estate, the operation of the airport, the finances. We brought it all into one portfolio.
Thanks. He didn't have property or the aero hub or the solar farm.
He did. It was all brought in underneath the one cabinet member.
Can you steer it towards Linda?
Yeah, okay. However, over 12 years, 3 different administrations, the most recent of which was led by some of the very people now bringing this motion, the potential of the wider airfield site was not realised. Capital investment had not been...
Sorry, point of order. I'm sorry. I thought we were asked to talk only about the leader. Can I say, it's got to apply to all parties, not just to non-conservatives. Otherwise, it will look ridiculous.
Can we...
Madam Chair,
we just bring this back in? I've just
I'm getting on to what the leader did about that.
Right.
Which is
well, can you start with that, please?
Okay. Okay, so the amount of capital investment now required is £35 million over the next 5 years. Linda has recognised that challenge. She's not shied away from it. Indeed, she has risen to it, commissioning an airport review at the very start of this administration, tackling the shortcomings head-on and accepting the need for change. 12 years of failure have driven the need for change. And as Councillor Tudor said, it was Einstein that declared the definition of madness was continuing to do things the same and expecting a different outcome. This morning, some statements have been made, and I want to tackle those head on. It's been said this morning that in multiple formats over many weeks that this matter hasn't had proper scrutiny. Well, no single issue in the entirety of this council has had more appearances at scrutiny or more opportunities for council members or the public to have their say. 6 formal scrutiny committee items, 2 in...
You need to bring it back to Linda. I understand...
What I'm trying to say is, this is as a result of Linda Taylor's leadership. It's Linda that has driven this, Linda that has driven the council, the cabinet, to agree to this.
No, I think that you've just got to bring it back to Linda.
Okay, what I'm trying to say is, the way that the airport has been conducted... Okay. Okay. I mean, what I will say, as I said, 6 scrutiny meetings have discussed this. Both the proposer and the seconder did not even attend 4 of those. I believe this is not about the airport. How can it be when it's been tackled head on by the leader? It's had more scrutiny than any other issue. This is misogynistic. I believe this is because
we need to get back on this. You need to speak about Linda.
I believe this is because Linda Taylor is a woman, and that is the reason.
No, this is not good enough, is it?
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. In my opinion, the misogyny is rife. I stand with colleagues, not just happy, but honoured to serve under a female leader like Linda Taylor.
Councillor Gardner, thank you. Councillor Marrington.
Thank you. I'm still reeling from that election in the States, and it did really make me question about what leadership is and what it should be. So I'm not speaking to put anybody down, but to say that whatever happens, if Linda carries on or not, the changes we need to make the next 6 months be the best it can be for the people we serve. I'm a first-time councillor, first term, and have no idea how tribal and point-scory it will be for the next 6 months, and I'm a bit worried about that myself. But I'll say, Linda, I'm completely aware you broke a big ceiling by becoming the leader of the council. It's something that America won't do for a while, I'm sure. So it's great that Cornwall did. I know you'll have had to work harder to just be respected and to listen to, so I totally accept that. But I still want to mention a couple of things that have really stuck with me as a first-term councillor. So just before getting elected, I listened to a meeting, and it happened to be the one about Gilham Ward Beth, and when you were all debating the climate change measures, and suddenly there was a vote of no confidence. And I listened to that, and I couldn't understand, and it seemed purely political. That was just my view listening to it. And then when I came to my first council meeting, I can remember the words as you stood there about having to savour the moment. And again, for a new councillor, it felt a bit like I felt isolated, that you thanked the Conservatives. And that was something, again, that stuck with me. I felt over these years we've missed getting the best from council, we've missed getting a sense of collective working towards a goal to making things better for people. It hasn't really felt like being part of a team, and before anyone says that's about politics, I've also attended 2 funerals, one of Ed and one of John Pollard, and just listening to those words made me think it is possible to actually bring people all together. So with all these big decisions, Mayor, electing people to external committees on political colour, rather than common sense at times, the airport, car parks, museums, leisure centres, so many big decisions, I didn't feel really heard and felt that we should all be, because these affected all of us, our residents in our areas. And yet some of these, the decisions came back things changed, but often due to public outrage and upset, which maybe could have been avoided with real listening. A strong leader would welcome views from all. So whatever the outcome, please, could we be more collaborative, think about what connects us more than what divides us, to make things better for all. So Linda, or whoever from this decision comes out, I think it's about that courage to really listen, because I speak for myself here, but I think for many of us that we will try and work together with people to
30 seconds.
Who we represent. Thank you.
Councillor Parsons.
Thank you, Chair, and apologies for being late today. Sadly, there's been another accident, Plusher, with the air ambulance on the scene. So my thoughts are, again, with all those involved. And I think it's also proven how, like so many of the issues that we come here and discuss, many will look on and think they're regionalised, but actually they're not. They do affect the whole of Cornwall. I've seen a number of councillors like myself walk in late today purely because of the A30, the main artery into Cornwall, being closed. So please, whoever takes the council on after this, I hope they will engage in further discussions with me. Regarding why we're here today, have we forgotten 3 years ago this administration took on a council in good financial shape? Have we and you may laugh. You may laugh. Look where you've taken it to now. Have we forgotten the mayoral debacle? Are we happy with decisions being made by the Cabinet, with the rest of us being shut out and being pushed aside? I'm happy for this to be ran as a boardroom if it feels like we're all being inclusive, but it's not their board or their business. It's all of our businesses, and it's the people of Cornwall's business why we're here today and why we're here for every full council meeting. The last 2 council meetings I've attended, I've actually questioned, what am I doing here? As Councillor Dwelly pointed out...
Is this about Linda? Because I think we're going off on a tangent here.
How is it not about Linda? Who sets the agenda? Who runs the council?
Actually, the members set the agenda. You're at liberty at any point to put a motion in if you want something debated.
We're here to represent our constituents. So if you're happy to push us aside, that's fine. But I don't think many of us are happy to take that. Although at a personal level, I have the utmost respect for Linda, the system isn't working. And I'm afraid that sticks with the leader. For us to represent our constituents fairly, all being at a level playing field, change needs to come. So I will be supporting this motion. Thank you.
Councillor Arthur.
Point of order, Mr. Chair. Point of order, please.
Hello. When I first joined this
Just a moment. What is your point of order? Sorry.
Sorry, Steve. Madam, I'd like you please to ask Councillor to withdraw his remarks that any of us are misogynist in this council. They're absolutely disgraceful. Absolutely.
Did you say that it was in this council?
What I would say is I believe this motion has only been brought forward because Linda is a woman, and I stick by that.
That is calling us misogynist. It's an absolute disgrace.
Your request has been made and Councillor Gardner's given his answer. If you want to talk to me about it after the meeting, I'm happy to talk to you, but I suggest the meeting moves on.
Thank you.
Councillor Arthur.
That's a stupid comment, Louis. When I first joined this council, I was told all these guys over here were the bad guys. We're the Conservatives. We're going to run this ship. We're going to sort it out. The trouble is, what the other Conservatives didn't realise was they're going to run it. This council is run by a small clique of officers and top cabinet members. We get the blame in the county for stuff that goes on, and we have no say and no scrutiny in here about it. You know, we talk about vaping and writing letters to the government.
Can we go back to Linda?
Okay, go back to Linda. I dared to think that Councillor Dwelly, the pantomime villain for the Tory party, would be a better scrutiny with the airport than someone dropped in after not being on that group for 3 years. I sat there and thought, this is better for Cornwall that this is scrutinised. I was actually voted as vice chair.
Point of order, Chair.
That evening.
I wasn't allowed to speak about scrutiny. Why is he?
We're talking about Linda. We're going off piste again here
We'll
now.
get there
Please.
soon. We'll get there soon.
We'll get there now. If you're not going to talk about Linda, then you're going to sit down.
I was on a certain committee, voted as vice chair, and because I didn't vote the way that I was supposed to, I was ripped off that committee that evening. Go to the vote. That was the leader that done that.
Sit down.
Point of order, please. I'm sorry. Factual accuracy, 14.5. It is a fact that the leader of the council removed Councillor Arthur as from the committee that he was elected vice chair to. It is a leadership issue.
Then he should have stuck to that and not gone off on a little meander.
That's what I said.
Are you going to stick to the talking about the leader, not the meandering, please?
I think I've said enough, Chairperson.
Councillor Wills.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I would be delighted to talk exclusively about Linda Taylor, a lady of immense integrity, a wonderful leader of this council, supportive to all those in this chamber if you bothered to go and speak to her, somebody who will help you in your hour of need, and somebody that I have nothing but the most tremendous amount of admiration for the way in which she has led this council over the last 3.5 years. I became an independent Conservative aligned councillor because I believed in the leadership of Linda Taylor and not by those who didn't win the last election. They lost it because of the way in which they led the council. I believe Linda...
Can you please just stick with Linda?
Linda has done an outstanding job. She has kept her group relatively together, apart from Larry, Moe and Curly up there, who haven't got the guts to call themselves what they are, Reform.
Linda, please.
But Linda has kept them together. And when you talk about scrutiny and committees, that's under the gift of the leader of the council, Linda's always been fair in how those positions are given out. I don't think that was the case under the last administration. I believe Linda learnt lessons from the last administration and indeed inherited things like the Stadium for Cornwall, Langgarth, and other officer-led...
We're going away from Linda again.
She inherited those projects from the previous administration, and Linda has done her utmost to see that we are kept fully informed as to how those projects inherited, and indeed the airport and the costs, are disseminated down to members of this council. I think she's done brilliantly. She will always have my support.
30
and
seconds.
I look forward to voting against this motion and supporting the best leader that this council has seen since it became a unitary authority.
Councillor Donathorne.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I wanted to start just by rebutting a few of the points that I've heard being raised as reasons why...
No, this is about Linda.
Yeah, the points made by these members were given because they believe that that was a reason why they are voting against Linda. And so I believe that that is a fair point to make.
Let you start and see where it goes.
I'll try my best, Madam Chairman. I'll try my best. So Councillor Conway suggested that he's voting against Councillor Taylor because it's a difficult budget. He suggested that he's voting against Linda Taylor because of disposal of car parks. He's voting against Councillor Taylor because of political differences. That's not a reason to vote against the leader of the council. It's a reason to support the leader of the council and to work with the leader of the council to try and deliver on your priorities. I will say, because different members have raised voting against Linda because of the disposal of car parks, and I thank Councillor Candy for withdrawing his comment, because of course you can't vote against the leader of the council for a policy on disposing of car parks because there's no formal agreed policy, and we've discussed it informally at scrutiny committee. So for those reasons that opposition members have given to vote,
steer it back,
to vote against Linda as the leader of this council is spurious at best. And I'm going to say this, and I will name no names. The reason I came here was to vote in support of Linda as the leader of this council, and to walk into New County Hall today and hear members, honourable members, decent members being threatened because they were indicating they would support Linda as the leader of the council brings this entire institution into disrepute. And that those members that guided that should hold themselves in shame.
That'll do.
I'll be voting, I'm going to my speech, I won't go on to that any further. I haven't heard a shred of evidence from a single opposition member today while they're voting against Linda as the leader of this council, but I want to talk about why I'm voting for Linda, proudly as the leader of this council. As the Conservatives and the Independent Conservative Line, the largest party in this council, I believe we have a right to have the leader of this council as the Conservative, and we will test the confidence of the Chamber this afternoon. But I'm hearing from others that they're voting against Linda because of a lack of democratic engagement. The airport has been raised by members of this council. But when there were 2 informal workshops at scrutiny...
30 seconds.
Those members who have spoken in this debate today didn't even bother to turn up.
You're going off on the tangent. It's Linda focused here.
Absolutely. I'm voting for Linda because she has a strong cabinet who are across the detail, unlike former cabinet members who sign contracts without even reading them.
Can we stop?
Linda is a strong lobby strongly for Cornwall, and the reason I'm voting for Linda, one of the reasons I'm voting for Linda, is because she has extended chairs of committees to other groups, unlike how things have been done previously.
Okay, we're going
to... And that is why I hope the council ask themselves carefully in this debate, because Linda is the best leader that we've got.
Thank you. Right, before I go back to Councillor Conway, Councillor Taylor, I think that it's your right to speak now. And I did agree, the same as I did for Councillor Conway and Chairman, that you should have five minutes.
So thank you, Chair. And if you didn't miss what James said, he said, please just talk about myself. Okay, I am disappointed but not surprised that some members of this council have today given in to the rhetoric of personal animosity and allowed themselves to be listed on this motion. We all know the motivation of a small group of the instigators, and it has nothing to do with policy and everything to do with their own petty, vengeful grievances. At a time when we should be working hard for the people of Cornwall, they must carry the blame for wasting the time and money of this council. But just to be clear, Madam Chairman, we should remind ourselves of the principles that we have to adhere to in the running of this council, because there are perfectly adequate ways of dealing with policy issues, and this motion is not one of them. So, a Labour government introduced the governance model of a strong leader and cabinet to do 4 things. 1, to improve the efficiency and accountability, to enhance a democratic accountability, to strengthen local leadership, and to reflect modern governance trends. In order to create a balance to that decision, making the process for that legislation also introduced overview and scrutiny committees. These were established not as an opposition group, but were meant to be genuinely independent opportunities to scrutinise the decision-making, wherever those committees felt the need to shine a light. Madam Chairman, I and my Cabinet have acted in accordance with the model prescribed by law, as have all previous administrations, no more, no less. Now, we all know that in order to conduct the business of the Council, there are occasions when commercially sensitive information must be retained by myself, the Cabinet, and the officers of this authority. But scrutiny can and does allow a full examination of all decisions that are made within the framework of the legal requirements. The Labour government in 2000 believed that a strong leader should provide the necessary direction and vision to drive local development and improvement, which would empower local authorities to play a more active role in addressing the needs of their communities. That is their words, not mine. And this is precisely what this administration has been doing. I recognise, of course, that there are important decisions which either have been made or have yet to be made in relation to major developments throughout Cornwall. All decisions have been and will be properly made, and scrutiny are entitled and indeed encouraged to consider and make recommendations as they see fit. This is the proper function of both the Cabinet and members of the scrutiny committees. Madam Chairman, as this is a vote about me, then I do want to say the following. During my time as leader, I have attended more public meetings throughout Cornwall than any other leader of this council, and I will continue to do so. The public meetings I attend are a standing item, and I undertake them gladly as an important aspect of community engagement. I have helped to strengthen local leadership and raise the profile of Cornwall Council at national and international level through my role as a strategic and place leader, and via my regional duties and my relationships with His Majesty's government. I attend formal civic functions as a leader, and I lead on communications and residents' engagements. My work on behalf of this council also includes the chairing of the Cornwall and Isles of Scilly Leadership Board, the Cornwall Growth Board, and the Joint Health and Wellbeing Board for Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly, plus many other stakeholder partnerships. I am pleased to report that my leadership of those and many other functions has not been marred by the kind of discourtesy shown by this motion. And finally, I want to say, disagreement with decisions lawfully made is not in itself a good enough reason to justify this motion.
30 seconds.
If there were good reasons to question any Cabinet decision, the process of scrutiny and scrutiny calling is there to allow a proper re-examination of it. Nothing said today remotely qualifies as that, so we're all left with a politically motivated attack on me, fueled by personal animosity. I ask members to reject the motion, and frankly, we've got much better things to be doing today. Thank you.
I'm now going to bring in Councillor Conway to sum up before we go to the vote.
Thank you. I've picked up most of the points through the debate, and I'll try and answer some of them reasonably succinctly. The first one I'm going to bring up, someone said that we're reform in disguise. Now, I'm making it absolutely clear to everybody. This
is not about Linda. We're not here for you to reply. You want to sum up.
The allegation was made in this chamber, and I'm just making it clear I have nothing to do with reform and will not be. One wonders, why have all Conservative MPs been replaced in this county?
That's nothing to do with Linda.
It's because...
No, it's nothing to do with Linda.
It is to do with it.
No, it's not. She didn't put the MPs there. You need to be talking about the leader.
Sum up on the motion.
Please sum up on the motion.
Well, put it this way. Cornwall has lost its confidence in the Conservative Party.
No, we're still supposed to be talking about the leader. I'm going to have to bring the monitoring officer in a minute if you're not understanding what's going on here.
In Lanson, people have been coming up to me and saying whether they were Conservatives or otherwise that they support what I am doing with putting this motion of no confidence in Linda. I am being told that the main residents of Cornwall have no confidence in Linda. So leave it at that one, shall we? This is probably your only chance to stop the airport transaction. I'm just going to leave it at that.
No.
Well, I am concentrating. Linda Taylor, up until the general election, almost normally refused to send letters to government about what's happening. Since the election, there have been a myriad of letters to to various ministers pleading for money and what have you. Why wasn't it done when it was a blue government and a blue thing? I sound like a Lib Dem MP. Do I?
Can we have some order here, please?
Yeah. Linda has so far let.
Keep quiet.
Well,
can we have some order, please?
Linda has been our leader through a catalogue of disasters, and it's quite clear that has happened. One thing that has come through, and I'd just like to make an apology to Councillor Marrington. I know something I did upset her very much, and I apologise for that quite publicly. She knows what it's...
Go back to Linda, please.
I am talking about Linda in a roundabout way. There are many Conservatives in... The fact that I have lost confidence in Linda Taylor as leader, and let's be quite honest, in the last 2 Conservative elections for leader, I did not vote for Linda Taylor, so it's not something that's come about recently. It's something that's been there for a long time. I have had no confidence in her ability to lead, and I believe there are several people within the Conservative Party who have a much stronger
30 seconds.
leadership credentials. So, how is it? Yeah, I'll just leave it there. We've been through most of the bits and pieces. We've heard why that Linda Taylor should be removed as leader, and the resolution is actually to remove the leader, even though the resolution as I put it forward is that I have no confidence in Linda Taylor. I just repeat, I have no confidence in her, and I ask you to support the resolution and remove Linda Taylor as leader. Thank you.
Okay, I'm bringing the monitoring officer in now.
So, your microphone, Councillor Conway. Sorry. Let me be clear that whilst you may not have confidence in the leader, the constitutional provision is that it's a motion to remove the leader. And Chairman will take you on to voting in a minute. Let me be clear that if you wish to remove the leader, you vote for the motion. If you wish to retain the leader, you vote against the motion. Apologies if that sounds patronising, but I don't want the vote to go the wrong way for anybody. Well, not if it sounds patronising, it does, but...
Point of order, Chair. Thank you.
Hello.
Just quickly, can I just clarify, is Councillor Gardner still asserting that anybody that votes for this motion is a misogynist?
I think we've moved on from that now. We're going to the vote here now. The vote will now open. Please vote in the way possible. Remove the leader is for. To keep the leader is against.
There are a couple of members who've yet to vote. Please, can you vote? I'm going to close it in a couple of seconds. Oh.
Yeah.
Might I suggest you go to another control panel and see if that one works? Okay, members, I'm going to close the vote.
The motion is locked. You can't hear me. So the motion is lost, and I am closing. closing the meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank God for that. No, I'm just dropped it in there. I'm going to go to